Allow me to recount a chilling experience I had at a different Walmart, in a small town far away from the hustle and bustle of city life. This story takes place on a quiet, moonless night when I was working the late shift as a store security guard. The store was nearly empty, except for a few late-night shoppers scattered across the vast aisles. As I patrolled the dimly lit interior, my footsteps echoed in the silence, and I couldn't help but feel an eerie sensation. It was as though the store held secrets that only revealed themselves to those who dared to explore its depths after dark. I made my rounds, checking the surveillance cameras as I went. That's when I noticed something unusual. In one of the camera feeds, I saw a lone figure, dressed in outdated clothing, pushing a shopping cart through the grocery section. What struck me as odd was that this figure appeared almost transparent, like a ghostly apparition. My curiosity piqued. I rushed to the grocery section, expecting to find nothing more than a malfunctioning camera. But to my astonishment, there was the figure, a faint, almost translucent silhouette, still pushing the cart. It moved silently, its every step sending shivers down my spine. I called out, but there was no response. As I approached, I could see the cart was filled with items, groceries, and household goods. The strange shopper continued to move through the store, seemingly unaware of my presence. The air grew colder around it, and I felt a sense of unease I couldn't shake off. With a trembling hand, I reached out to touch the cart, and that's when it happened. The figure turned slowly toward me, its face obscured by darkness. Its eyes, though, gleamed with an otherworldly light, and it let out a mournful wail that chilled me to the bone. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled backward. I rushed to the store's entrance, but the automatic doors refused to open. I was trapped inside with this phantom shopper, who continued to approach me, its eerie wail growing louder with each step. I felt a presence closing in on me, something ancient and malevolent. Desperation set in, and I tried to communicate with the figure, asking who it was and what it wanted, but the response was only more ghostly wails and incoherent whispers. I felt as though I had stepped into a nightmare, one from which there was no escape. With all my might, I pushed against the stubborn doors, and finally, they relented, allowing me to burst out into the empty parking lot. Gasping for breath, I looked back, but there was no sign of the ghostly figure. It had vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. That night, I realized that some Walmart stores hold secrets beyond imagination, and I'll never forget the chilling encounter with the phantom shopper. So, dear viewers, should you ever find yourself in a quiet Walmart late at night, be vigilant, for you might encounter something that defies explanation. Hey there, folks. Gather round, and let me share with you a bone-chilling experience I had at a Walmart not too long ago. It was late one winter evening, and I had just finished my late-night shopping when things took a terrifying turn. As I strolled through the empty aisles, my footsteps echoed in the dimly lit store. The overhead lights flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows on the shelves. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched, but I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. My journey through the store took me to the electronics section, and that's where it all began. A vintage TV, seemingly from another era, stood prominently on a display shelf. To my astonishment, it had turned on by itself, displaying nothing but static. At first, I assumed it was a technical glitch, but as I drew closer, the static seemed to coalesce into a face so distorted and eerie that it sent shivers down my spine. The face on the screen contorted in anguish, and though it had no discernible features, I could almost hear it whispering unintelligible words. I was paralyzed, unable to look away. The atmosphere grew colder with each passing second, and I felt a presence looming over me. My heart pounded, and my breaths became shallow as the face on the TV screen continued its silent torment. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the face vanished, leaving behind nothing but the flickering static. I couldn't explain what had just happened, but I knew I had to get out of there. My hurried footsteps echoed through the empty aisles as I made my way towards the exit. But the strangeness didn't end there. As I approached the toy section, I began to hear faint laughter, the laughter of a child playing. My heart sank as I realized the store was devoid of any customers or employees. I tried to locate the source of the laughter, but it seemed to move, echoing through the empty store. It grew louder and more sinister with every passing moment, as though mocking my fear. By the time I reached the checkout lanes, the lights above me began to flicker uncontrollably. A bone-chilling breeze swept through the store, making my breath visible in the frigid air. I felt a presence behind me, a shadowy figure moving in the corner of my eye. When I turned to confront it, there was no one there, but the unsettling feeling of being watched persisted. Terrified, I mustered the last of my courage and rushed to the exit. Just as I was about to burst through the sliding doors, I heard a whisper, chilling and unmistakable. "You can't escape." My heart raced, and I stumbled out into the quiet, empty parking lot. That night, I learned that some Walmarts have a history, a past that sometimes lingers, and I'll never forget the eerie, unexplained events that unfolded in that store. So, dear viewers, if you ever find yourself alone in a Walmart late at night, remember my tale and beware of the inexplicable and the paranormal that might just be lurking in the aisles. Stay safe out there. Hello there, dear viewers. Allow me to recount a harrowing experience that unfolded before my very eyes during a late-night visit to Walmart. It was a night I'll never forget. I had been running errands late into the evening, and as the clock struck midnight, I found myself standing in front of the Walmart entrance. The parking lot was almost empty, and the store's exterior lights buzzed dimly. Despite the late hour, I needed a few essentials, so I pushed the heavy doors open and ventured inside. The store was eerily quiet, the only sound being the faint hum of the overhead lights. I started my shopping, wandering through the well-lit aisles, occasionally checking my list. Everything seemed normal until I reached aisle 13, the one that housed cleaning supplies. As I walked down aisle 13, a sudden chill ran down my spine. The air grew icy, and the fluorescent lights above began to flicker erratically. I dismissed it as a minor electrical glitch, but then I heard it, the faint sound of whispering voices, as though someone was engaged in a hushed conversation. I couldn't pinpoint the source of the voices, but they seemed to be coming from the shelves themselves, the cleaning products somehow emitting these eerie murmurs. My heart pounded as I strained to listen, trying to make out the words. It was as if they were speaking in some forgotten language. Then, to my astonishment, the cleaning products on the shelves began to move on their own. Bottles tipped over, brushes slid across the floor, and mop buckets spun in circles. I watched in horror as cleaning supplies danced and twirled as though possessed by some unseen force. A voice, cold and unnatural, echoed through the aisle, saying, "Cleanse, cleanse, cleanse." It repeated the word like a chant, growing louder with each repetition. I felt a presence, something malevolent lurking in the shadows. It was as though the very aisle itself was alive and angry. I abandoned my shopping cart and retreated, leaving aisle 13 behind. The moment I stepped out, the temperature returned to normal, and the lights steadied. The store seemed as ordinary as any other Walmart. I left the store, my heart pounding, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I had witnessed something beyond explanation. In the days that followed, I couldn't forget the haunting experience in aisle 13. I returned to Walmart during daylight hours, expecting to find everything back to normal. However, as I approached that fateful aisle, a store employee stopped me, saying, "You shouldn't go in there. Aisle 13 has been closed for maintenance, but there's something strange about it." Rumors circulated among the employees about strange occurrences in that aisle, and they had witnessed the cleaning supplies moving on their own, just as I had. The store had called in technicians and even a priest to investigate, but no one could explain the bizarre events. To this day, I can't help but wonder what dark forces lurked in aisle 13 that night. It's a reminder that even in the most mundane places, the supernatural can manifest, and some mysteries may never be solved. So, dear viewers, if you ever find yourself shopping late at night, be cautious when wandering down those empty aisles, for you never know what secrets they may hold. Stay safe, and trust your instincts when the ordinary turns into the extraordinary.